Star difference makers, the Kings wasted their pick. And that's something that can't be said for the Atlanta Hawks, who had the 3rd overall pick. The Hawks drafted Doncic.
The Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic from Ljubljana, Slovenia.
But they immediately traded him to Dallas for Trae Young, plus the Mavericks' first pick in 2019, which proved to be one of the most win-win trades in NBA history. While Doncic was clearly the best player in the draft, Trae Young was not far off, with passing ability and shooting prowess that jumped off the page. At number 4, the Grizzlies drafted Jaren Jackson Jr., the shot-blocking machine who could shoot and move like a guard. Because they still had Mike Conley in his prime, Memphis's pick was logical, and in retrospect, they can't be mad at drafting Jackson Jr. Dallas then drafted Trae Young for Atlanta, and Orlando drafted Mo Bamba at number 6, the 7-foot center from Harlem with such a big wingspan that he can close the doors on both sides of a limo while sitting in the back seat without moving. Along with his height and nearly 8-foot wingspan that broke the record at the NBA Combine, Bamba was extremely mobile and jumpy, not only in the open court, but also laterally, which is why he is quick to get back into position, either when defending the post or as a help defender. Bamba was considered the best defensive prospect in the draft, and he famously said that the Mavs would regret not drafting him at number 5. However, despite all those highly regarded prospects, there were gems in this draft still sitting in the green room, waiting for their name to be called. The biggest name still on the board was Michael Porter Jr., who was ranked the number 1 player in the country as a senior and was considered the most talented player in the draft. MPJ's jump shot is pure poetry in motion, and he could pull up from anywhere. And since he didn't miss from mid-range, and because he's 6'10", everybody compared him to Kevin Durant. Uber efficient, athletic, Porter Jr. would likely be the number 1 pick if he didn't injure his lower back, which forced him to miss all but 3 games in college. Eventually, MPJ slid down to the 14th overall pick.
The Denver Nuggets select Michael Porter Jr. from the University of Missouri.
However, there were a few guys drafted ahead of him who proved to be great steals in this draft. At number 10, Philadelphia drafted Mikal Bridges. Then, they stupidly traded him to Phoenix for Zaire Smith. Smith is probably the biggest disappointment in the draft, playing just 13 games total, while Bridges became an all-around wing who would prove to be the next NBA Iron Man, never missing a single game since he got drafted. And at pick number 11, there was a player who was never highly recruited, who had an old-school game that wasn't flashy, but who should have been picked 2nd overall behind Luka. We're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was drafted by the Clippers, even though he would soon get traded to Oklahoma City for Paul George. But the biggest steal of the draft fell all the way down to the 2nd round, and that's Jalen Brunson, who was picked 33rd overall by the Mavericks, even though he was the best player on a Villanova team that